Hey everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. It's Friday again and it's time for another Friday video. Previous week I hoped I would receive my inks in time to finish the mooncentaur piece. However, I'm sorry to say this, but the ink didn't arrive on time, so I couldn't finish the mooncentaur. However, don't mourn yet. I, of course, knew there was a chance they wouldn't arrive in time. So here's what I did. I started another piece. Since I wanted a companion piece for the centaur, I came up with a sun centaur. So in the background you can see me working on that. And I just finished the sketch and the lines to make the image clearer, so I can start coloring it with Copic markers. And Copic markers are amazing. Absolutely love them. They can smell pretty badly, so you should use them in a well ventilated area, or else you can get really high basically, and you don't want that. With Copic markers, what I like to do is starting out with the darkest color and blend it out with a lighter color, and then blend that out with another lighter color. As you can see, I love to make selections of Copic markers, and I use when I do that, I grab them, and at certain points during my drawing process, the table is filled with Copic markers and sets of colors that fit well together. So yay, there is for my Copic marker workout. I absolutely love the red to yellow tones. They are very vibrant and very warm. For the centaur I used a warm brown color. I was thinking about white because he is the counterpart of the moon centaur. However, that didn't feel right. It felt a bit boring, and I thought, well, what is a nice other way? And that was brown, because browns are very warm. They can turn a bit golden in the sun. So brown it was, with quite a bit of lighter color as well to make it a bit lighter, a bit more playful, a bit more interesting. With the flames of the sun, oh boy, there were quite some actually. I I was happy I didn't run out of red, yellow, orange ink, or else I had to refill that as well, and I don't have those yet. So I'm happy they did what they had to do. Yay! And it's really interesting to draw with so much colors. And at the end of the process, well, if you smell at the piece, oh boy, you still smell it. It's drenched in ink, drenched in Copic marker ink. Yay. What can I say more about this? It's really intense, and I really like the fact that it's so intense and colorful and bright, because for stickers you can go with more muted colors, but for this one I thought, no, let's go full color mode. Color mode is on, yeah. And well, the thing with Copic markers, I tend to use them in combination with colored pencils, because the markers are great to work with, but sometimes you want a certain effect or soften it up a bit more, things like that. And it can be quite difficult, because maybe you just don't have the right color, or you have to blend really much. And if this paper isn't too bad, but if you have to blend it a lot, there is a chance it will bleed and it will cross the line. Now that doesn't need to be a big issue. However, if you're just near something that should stay white, it can be tricky. So what I like to do is fill the basic colors with Copic markers, the big shapes, and add a bit of detail, bit of shade, and after that I grab my colored pencils and I go mayhem with shading and things like that. So I use red pencils, red, orange, yellow and white pencils to blend the colors in the sun a bit more, because even though I picked the colors to blend really well, they didn't necessarily do that in every spot, and that's okay, because sometimes the ink dries a bit quicker, it isn't wet enough, and things like that. So that's why you have handy colored pencils. So if you want to try that out, I can really recommend that. So here you see me coloring. Yay! More colors. For the centaur, I also use browns and yellows, and also to mix it and to give the illusion that the sun was really shining on him. Actually, you probably wouldn't see them if it was the real sun, because oh boy, it's pretty damn interesting. However, it worked out for me. It's okay. And well, that's basically finishing the job of the illustration. Adding more colored pencils, colors, and not running out of ink this time. So that was a great part. I had some small issues with filming. At a certain point you could see that part of the sun was already colored with markers, but that was way back. So we don't talk about that anymore. So, and after all the coloring and things like that, it is time to edit. I recorded it with OBS. However, OBS didn't work properly. I'm going to have a look into that and maybe use it for the part 2 to explain a bit more about what I was doing in the program. Basically, in Photoshop, I am changing the background a bit, because when I finished the piece, I discovered that the blue didn't reach far enough, because I want some blue around my sticker. And it was very close to the sun in the classic illustration, or the illustration. So I copied and used the heel brush tool to make sure the image was surrounded by that beautiful blue. So that was Photoshop. And after that, it was time to prepare the sticker in the Silhouette software. This is pretty basic compared to Photoshop, but it does its job properly, so that's what counts. In this case, usually you have a nice tool that lets you trace the picture and you can create a beautiful border around it with no hassle at all. However, that works perfectly fine if you have a drawing with a white border around it. I didn't have a white border. I have a blue border, so the tool couldn't see exactly where the drawing was, so I did it with a pen tool. And I made a cut line around the piece, and showed the program where I wanted to cut it. And luckily there was a simplify tool, because I did it with a freehand tool at first, and there were lots of anchor points, and you don't want that. So luckily for me, you could simplify and press go. So that was good. And well, here we see me printing the piece. Oh, it's such a wonderful printer, my Epson. So I'm printing, and you can see the little cut marks in the corners. Those are the black markings. And the silhouette cut machine, it can recognize the marks only when it's light enough. So in my first attempt, I tried it with a grayish background, and sometimes it worked, sometimes he said, I don't recognize this stuff, so I'm not gonna cut it. So make sure it's white behind your print markings. You can erase it a bit so that the markings are white, or are there's some white space around them. Don't use a color. I promise you, you don't want that. So I am adding the sheet on the cutting mat, and I use this for the silhouette machine. You can use the machine without a cutting mat in some cases. I haven't discovered one that helped me really much. With cardstock or sticker paper or things like that, please use that cutting mat. It makes life easier, I promise you. As you can see, I already used it pretty much for some things. So yeah, at a certain point you will see markings on your cutting mat, but that's to be expected, right? And now let's cut it. I'll let you hear the machine for a bit. I warn you, it is loud. It's okay, that's how it should work, but it's loud, so be surprised. As I promised, it's really loud, and I decided not to pester you too much with the sound because it is a bit annoying. So as you can see, the cutting machine just races through the paper and cuts perfectly. So it's a wonderful thing, really. I really like it. And you can change the speed, the pressure, the blades, and so on. And here you can see me removing the extra paper because I don't need it anymore. And the wonderful results of cutting and drawing and things like that. So that's very good. And finally, here are the end results. I used a sticker and placed it on one of my sketchbooks. And the next one you can see the illustration with the sticker next to it. So yay. It was great fun. I had some issues with machinery and camera work and things like that. My first time cutting, I think I didn't have enough space behind the machine, which caused the cutting mat to bump into some of my books, which caused the machine to cut wrongly. So I wasn't too happy with that, but another try and the stickers came out perfectly. So you have to experiment a bit. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will go further with part 2 of the mooncentaur next week. And this time with enough refills, I hope. And I will be explaining a bit more about the Photoshop process and the silhouette software, because thanks to my recording program, it didn't work out that good. So, hope to see you next week, and for now, bye!